Good morning, and it's Tuesday, and I am here for a spontaneous live because unfortunately I wasn't able to join you last Friday because I had a really violent reaction to my booster jab, which isn't good, is it? But back and fighting fit and here with you, and I thought I would do something really specific today. Because one of the questions I get asked a lot is about outsourcing, because part of my services, I suppose, is that we offer to manage people's accounts for them. So people haven't got the time, energy, or inclination to manage their own social media. They bring in a social media management company or an individual manager like myself. And I'm often asked to write quotations for this sort of work and to give people ideas on pricing. And this is a really hot topic at the minute because if you ever work with a business coach, they will always say to you, outsource, outsource, outsource where you can. And I wholeheartedly agree. Many years ago, I worked with the fabulous Michelle Walsh, and it was a tip that she gave me, which I still stand by this day. But outsourcing your social media, I just want to sort of explore that a little bit. Firstly, if you are part of an organization with a team, the best people to run your social media are people who are in-house 100% of the time. And that's why 18 months ago, I brought in my social media mentoring program. So I go in and I'll work with an identified individual, maybe an office manager or administrator, and train them up over 6 months. We spread it out over 6 months. We can do it intensively, but over 6 months, we'll usually do it and train them up to be the in-house social media ambassador. Now, it's a bit of a win-win for the business because for the organization, the team can see that there's investment internally. For the individual, they see that they are being valued as a member of the team, but also long-term, the organization's going to save money because the investment they pay somebody like me, who's worked both sides of the fence, if you like, for want of a better turn of phrase, they will they get the benefit of my experience as an experienced social media manager. I've managed social media accounts for nearly 8 years now, but also the individual has the knowledge of the business. So it can be a really great collaborative approach to managing social media. But if you're a smaller business and you still want to outsource, or maybe don't want to free up a member of your team, so you're thinking about recruiting a social media manager or asking, I don't know, a digital marketing agency, or maybe your creative agency offers social media management. And there's some advice I want to share with you. I'm virtually up to capacity anyway. I couldn't take on any new clients, but I thought it'd be really useful to share these tips because at this time of year, come the end of the calendar year, a lot of us will look at where we can save time next year. So questions to ask your social media manager, or that they should be asking you, funny enough, which is, what do you want to accomplish from having your presence on social media? Ultimately, yes, I know we all want more customers, absolutely. But how are you going to measure the success of your investment? It's a question I ask all my clients. Before we do any work for any of our clients, we do a 2-hour planning session. First question I ask is, what results have you achieved to date? How are you going to measure your success, your return on investment moving forward? Absolutely critical. Then, who are you competing against? How are your competitors behaving on social media? How are you going to stand out? What is your differentiation? But, and the big but to be wary of, there are some wonderful people out there called virtual administrators. And I should know because I use a number of them regularly. And some of them set themselves up as social media managers. Now, you need to be really, really specific and clear. Are they creating images and content maybe from your website and posting regularly and giving you consistency of visibility online. And that is absolutely brilliant. And that is probably the most cost-effective way for most organizations to have a consistent presence, 100% of the time. But a social media manager is very different to a virtual administrator. So when I would be speaking to a client, in fact, I did a quote yesterday, when we talk about level of cover. So are you going to provide that person with your content? Are you going to provide them with imagery? Are you giving them all the brand information? Is there clarity around tone of voice? Because tone of voice is a really big one. That's why often the best person to do it is somebody within the team. So when you are onboarding, or I'm onboarding a new client for social media management, these are the sorts of questions we need to ask. And it's not always the question that an administrator, a virtual administrator, will have the experience to ask, unless she's particularly focused in that area. And some are. So these are the sorts of things that I want you to consider. So what is your tone of voice? What is the main reason I would use you over your competitors? But then we get to the important thing, which is engagement. So perfect example, I have all of my clients' stuff on notifications. So if something happens, I can be super responsive. Now, if you are paying for a cheap option, you will find that you will not get engagement. So if what you want is consistency of presence and you're on a really tight budget and they're happy to take content from your website, there's enough collateral there, then consider that. However, if you want to get results, we need to spend a lot more time on the account. And I just had this exact conversation with a client who wants to reduce their overhead or their outgoings on social media management because their business is going through some changes, and like a lot of us, still getting back on our feet after the first couple of lockdowns. But it's not enough just to post. Are you spending time building the audience? When I work with my clients to train them to use social media, I will say the first thing we start with is a plan. Second is engaging content. Third element, building your audience. Just posting is not going to solely build your audience 100% of the time. Really important. So I will say to a client, how much time do you want us to spend building your audience? And yes, you will get a little bit of growth organically through consistent posting. However, it's important to remember that you do need to spend time inviting people to follow a page, following people, connecting with people, so they will want to start a conversation with you. And then there's the whole thing around then engaging with those people. Now, there's some great tools on LinkedIn that you can use completely free of charge, which will give you that edge. So I just wanted to put those thoughts out there. And if anybody's considering outsourcing and wants to have a chat with somebody, I'm not necessarily looking for new clients. I'm waiting for a call about another client and not necessarily got capacity. But if you want some independent advice, think about that. Ask them about their track record. What testimonials have they got from existing or previous clients? I keep a portfolio of client feedback because that's really important to have that, because it's not enough just to say, I'm going to do a really good job. I'm going to do a great job, but this is what my clients say about me. So that's this morning's Pearls of Wisdom, all talking about outsourcing. And I should be back with you for my normal live this Friday, and I'll see you soon.